Welcome to the Caregiving Podcast. I'm Inga.
And I'm Julie.
And long story short, we have Caregiving. We are two momtrepreneurs who have built an in-home care business from the ground up, guided every step of the way by God's care and fueled by agape love. Almost 14 years later, we felt called to create this podcast as a resource for families with caregiving needs. Whether you care for a family member or are looking for advice on professional caregiving, we want this to be a platform to support you.
Each week, we will come to you with encouraging stories of families who have found the right balance for their loved ones, tips for how to care for them and you, and much more. We hope you continue to join us each week as we share in this exciting new journey together.
Hello, Sunshine, and hello, Julie. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Inga.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You ever had trouble with your ears?
You know, one time when I went on a flight, I got plugged up in the flight, and it took half a day.
Really?
To get unplugged.
Wow. Did you do the trick where you pinch your nose?
I chewed gum. I did
like
all
heck?
of it.
Oh.
I yawned. I just was plugged. And I'm pretty sure I don't have an indoor voice as it is.
Oh, no.
And so I'm trying, what? But it was rough. It was rough.
Who were you with at the time?
I was down doing some hospital stuff down in Texas.
Wow. So it wasn't like you were on a trip to Vegas or
No,
something where being
I
a
was
little
supposed
louder
to be
was like socially
appropriate
acceptable?
at all times. And I was
Julie with an amplified indoor voice.
discombobulated.
Wow. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the trouble where you're like talking when you should be listening?
Always.
Yeah. Same. That's a good, Kevin says that a lot. That should be like actually a grandma saying, but I don't want him to take offense to that. But yeah, his favorite joke is like, if you see somebody with like a black eye or something, what were you talking when you should have been listening? Yeah, pretty good. I've had that trouble before,
Yes.
but he hasn't ever used that saying on me because he doesn't want a black eye. So
Righto.
yeah, you know how it goes. Yeah, well, listeners, if you haven't kind of figured it out yet, today we're actually going to be talking a lot about hearing information and hearing loss and hearing aids and things of such nature.
Yes, and now, but what about you? Haven't you had any hearing loss in
my
your ears?
trouble, I don't know that I've had hearing loss. My trouble with my ears is I cannot do like cold air, cold water,
Oof.
anything like that in my ears actually will like throw off my equilibrium.
Oh boy.
So you thought that I just couldn't go swimming because I can't do we can't have fun, right? But it really screws with me if I get like cold water in my ears, even if it's like, swimming pool in a hotel temperature, which is not really cold, honestly, but it just messes me up really bad.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah. And when we're working out in the farm and stuff, I always have to have my ears covered.
Yeah.
Any wind in there.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
Yeah.
There's probably an osis for it.
Osis.
Yeah. Or an itis.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's my trouble. Other than that, not so much.
Righto. Well, that's
Do you
good.
have pierced ears?
I do.
Yeah.
I forgot my earrings this morning.
Yeah.
But, the good thing was my head's detached, so I didn't forget that.
Well,
it was one of those mornings.
That's the bonus. Yes. My grandma Fisher doesn't have pierced ears, but she always wears like the clip-on earrings.
Oh,
she's got quite a collection.
Cute.
I don't know why she never got her ears pierced, but anyway. Okay, so let's roll right into our verse of the week. And this actually comes from James chapter 1, verses 19 and 20.
Yes.
Listening and doing. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires.
I just liked it.
I can understand why.
Yes, and I need to work on it.
I would agree for myself as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you consciously tell yourself okay, just slow down and listen.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk over someone. Just let them get it all out. I've had some of those situations here just recently, and I've actually had a situation with one of our employees where I had to say, hey, wait. Can you give me a second? Can you listen to me?
Mm-hmm.
Let me finish what I'm trying to say to you. So
yeah.
Slow down.
Yep.
Slow down. Take
and
your time.
a lot of people, they just want you to listen.
Yep.
So be quick to listen, slow to speak.
Yep.
And slow to become angry. Oofta.
I think we are just, as a community, just faster these days to, tip over the edge.
That, and they say that we're not always listening. We're more thinking we know what they're going to say. So we're already formulating our answer before we know exactly what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So
you might not even be hearing what is being spoken to you because you're busy working on what your answer is.
Exactly.
And your interpretation of what's being said to you may just, tick you off just a little bit.
yeah.
I had a situation this morning and it was not voice, but it was on the computer on one of those chats.
Oh.
I QuickBooks is forcing me to buy I can't even believe it. They're just forcing me to buy an updated version.
Of
it's just
course
so
they
rude.
are.
But what's weird
Ugh.
is I think that everything is trying to go more to like online stuff. They're like desktop. What, you still use desktop? What are you even doing, lady? So like I can't even find it on their website. So I'm chatting like, where do I find the link? I just need to purchase, upgrade the desktop. And basically the person on the chat, they respond to me. They're like, oh, well, fine. Here's a link. They're trying to upsell me on all the online stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, I just need this. Can you just give me this? So basically within a matter of 3 seconds here's the link and then the chat ends and it goes to the survey.
Oh,
Didn't even give me time to like click on the link or even visually like process what the link was. And then the question is, how did it go for you? How was your sales experience today?
well, there wasn't a lot of
not very
experience.
good because I didn't get the answer that I needed.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that happened so fast. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I felt like, for all practical purposes, I felt like I got hung up on in the chat. Have you ever been hung up on before? That's rage invoking.
That is where I am not slow to become angry.
Yes. But we work on it.
Yes. I've gotten better.
Yes. Well, what'd you bring for a good news story today?
Oh my goodness gracious. I found something that just blew my hair back.
Is that hard to do?
No, not with this mop.
You've seen you've seen a lot of things in your life. Is it hard to like astonish you?
This astonished me.
Yeah. Cool. I'm excited. I want to know.
Did you know
Probably not.
that all dogs have completely unique nose prints?
You know what I want to do? I want you and I to go to the window after this and do our nose
noses
print.
up?
I want to see. Yes. But I didn't know that.
Did it blow your
But
hair
it
back?
Well, it makes sense. I don't think I've ever thought about it.
Like fingerprints.
Yep.
And then there's an app to ID each pet.
What? Oh, my dogs are getting nose printed tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you nose print them on the app?
Let me find out.
Okay.
I'll explain.
Tell
But this
me.
is just like a zebra.
Yes.
There is no zebra that has the same stripes.
Yep.
So I'm just like, what do the cows all have the same or different?
Yeah.
What about chickens?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just stymied. I'm just overwhelmed
It's
with
a-
all of this information. So anyway, a South Korean startup has developed an AI-based app that scans your dog's nose print and places it into a crowdsourced database that everyone can access to identify the owner of a lost dog. It turns out that a dog's nose print is just as individual as a human's thumbprint.
Wow.
And the advantage of using it to identify a lost dog over a microchip is that no one has a microchip scanner in their house.
Right.
Anyone who has lost track of their cat or dog knows the fear experienced by the thought of never seeing them again. Collar tags and microchips can be ways for Good Samaritans to help relocate them, but they might fall off, while
Sure.
microchips are not accessible to everyone who doesn't want to drive to the vet's office. So anyway, it's a 99% accuracy, and they've now released a free app called Pet Now.
That's wild.
Yeah, so pet owners register their dog's nose print by taking a picture with their smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Cat owners are in luck too because the algorithm can ID cats by their whole face rather than just their nose.
What? I was trying to envision taking a nose print of tuna
Yeah.
and how well that would go over.
Yeah, so not well. Once the image is captured, it's stored in PetNow's database. Anyone, including those who may come across a lost animal, can take a picture of its nose or its face and see if it matches with one on the app, providing an instant set of contact info for the owner. Because
That's
it's
wild.
not always easy for a lost dog to sit still, the app deploys 3 kinds of AI to identify a nose print, even if the nose is moving about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was amazing.
Yeah, that is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you think about it with the microchips and different things that you might put on a dog, the microchip is only good if somebody gets it somewhere that it can be scanned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Callie first moved to Arizona, and at one point her dog got out of the door,
Oh, yes, I
and
remember.
it scared her so bad because she just couldn't find it and couldn't find it and couldn't find it, and it was off just having a jolly good time. About half an hour later, she did find Margot. So she then went to PetSmart or whatever and got the collar thing.
Right.
It's a GPS,
Right.
and it's fantastic because you can just watch it the whole time.
Right.
But that
As long
might
as
fall
she
off.
doesn't lose it. Yeah.
That might fall off too. So I'm going to be telling her about this app. But
That's one of those things that, last week we talked about ribbon awareness.
Yeah.
So this app needs some sort of ribbon awareness so that people know because, essentially, okay, to put your dog on there, but does somebody who finds your dog know to then go and...
it would be the white ribbon with the black paw.
There you go. Beautiful.
Brilliant.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The world needs more Julies.
Oh, man. Can they handle
Yeah.
it?
I don't know if they could. Well, oh my gosh, my story actually came off of RFD TV, and it's called "Just Happy: The Happy Cow."
Cute.
So if you are listening or watching this, you've got to go to the show notes and look at this cow. It's just crazy. Basically, I'll show you, Julie. Literally, this cow has the markings of a smiley face. And anyway, the story goes like this. So the happiest cow was born earlier this month in Australia. On March 10th in Bellbrook Holsteins in Ripplebrook, Australia, they welcomed a new calf to the herd. They named it Happy. And it's pretty obvious why if you see the picture, because it's just a smiley face. There's like no mistaking it. It's not like when you look up into the clouds and you're like, oh, do you see the turtle? Or, there's no interpretation on this. This is
crazy.
Very clearly a smiley face.
Oh.
So Happy was born with this unique pattern and it resembles a smiley face. Basically, he was supposed to go on and they were going to keep him there on the farm kind of as their own mascot. But actually, as the story goes, his fate is going to be much grander than your typical farm cow. He was actually purchased by a Lardner Park and basically for a donation of $10,000 that went to their local hospital. But basically this farm he is going to go onto, it's like an event space and it holds things from music festivals to farm events, rodeos, those types of things. And it's 300 acres and Happy is going to go there and act as the park's mascot. So
oh my gosh.
basically, he made it to the farm, or he made it to that park. He's doing really well. He's feeding well, seems to be settled in. And basically there were approximately 40 to 50,000 patrons that came through the gates to see Happy just in one weekend.
Oh my goodness.
So they say it's just crazy the amount of, happiness and smiles that he's put on people's faces.
Oh my word.
It's really quite a neat story.
Yeah, it reminds me of Charlotte's Web. Come see the piggy.
Yes, for sure.
But that's adorable. I have to get a picture of that.
Yeah.
It's so cute. Truly, I'm just like, wait a minute, was that marker? But it's not. It's how he came out.
That's how he came out.
Oh, he's adorable.
Happy was destined to make people happy. I love that.
So cute.
Cool. Well, listeners, if you have a verse that you'd like to share with us, if you have a good news story, please send those to the caregivenpodcast@gmail.com. And Julie loves to have stuff to pick through.
Yep.
And let's talk about hearing, Julie.
Oh.
And I want you to know that I am listening.
Are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. So hearing loss, actually, it's kind of a big topic in my house right now because I'm not sure. I'm still checking it out. But because my darling husband, I wonder how much of it is hearing loss versus selective hearing. Because he can hear me cussing really good clear across the crowd, but he can't hear me 10 feet away.
Someone should develop like a study on that.
Yes. Yes.
How much of it is accurate? There should be like when you go in to get your hearing tested, like wives voices directing orders as part of the study.
Blocked it right out.
Like, oh no, you don't hear that at all. But then,
and I wouldn't be the only wife to ever talk like that. I'm quite sure.
Well, and it would probably be fair to say that to a degree we do it the same way, the opposite direction.
Good point.
Yeah.
Dang it.
We always just want to be fair around here.
No, we don't. So hearing loss is any degree of impairment in the ability to apprehend sound. Because I looked up the definition. Well, what is it? Well, anytime you can't hear, you've got hearing loss. Hearing loss that comes on little by little as you age is known as, presbycusis.
Presbycusis?
Something. It's common anyway. More than half of the people in the United States older than 75 have some kind of age-related hearing loss. Hearing loss is not always related to an underlying condition. It may be caused by earwax, noise, age-related hearing loss, severe pressure change, drugs that damage the ear. And so I looked up those drugs. It's called an ototoxic drug because OTO is actually ear.
Okay.
And so toxic, of course, is not a good word. So stuff
Toxic
that affects the ear, is an under-recognized drug side effect that patients and doctors often miss until one's hearing has been significantly impaired. And there's a whole list online of these different medications that may affect your hearing.
So is it a situation where it affects it while you're taking them and then when you're off of it, it goes away? Or is it, if it does damage, it does damage. Then
but I had never heard that before. And I was like, wow. Nobody would ever think about that.
Yeah. I
wonder that's another one of those stupid side effects that you don't want to even.
Do you remember our nurse Robin that worked here years and years ago? And she was like, if you ever go and look up the side effects, really study the side effects to every medication, you would never take anything in your life ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's why I won't look at them.
Yeah.
As long as you get rid of that first initial thing I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
But don't think about the others because what is that? Hypochondria.
Something
ensues. Whoa.
Yes. Oh gosh. Have you ever seen those earwax, like the candle earwax thingers? No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you? Where
it's weird.
Sorry, I'm demonstrating how it works. Goes in your ear, lights on fire, it draws the wax out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hydrogen peroxide. I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of home remedies, but you've got to be cautious.
Yeah.
Because you can actually hurt yourself. And then Q-tips. You're not supposed to go anywhere in your ear, just the outsides. But I'll tell you what, I have a thing. After I get out of the shower, I have two things I have to do. One of them is grab the Q-tips and make sure I don't got nothing rattling in the skull.
I'm the same. Kevin says nothing bigger than an elbow is supposed to go in your ear. Or I mean smaller than an elbow. Yeah, I guess that would make more sense. He's not a fan of the Q-tip. I am a fan of the Q-tip.
Yeah, yeah. So injuries of the ear and then foreign objects like we're talking in the ear. Yeah, so and I know I've told this story before, but because we're talking about ears specifically, when Bailey was little, and I didn't have any idea that she wasn't feeling well. Right. I was in the kitchen, I was doing whatever, and she ran from the rug to the linoleum, slipped on her bottom, and I looked and her whole brain had just exploded. And I'm just like, what in the world is that? Because it just,
how did that? Yeah.
Yeah. So I take her, run right into the doctor there, and they could not believe her temperament for pain, because they were like, this would have had most people on their knees. And I said, I didn't have any idea that she wasn't feeling good. She acted normal. But when she bounced her butt on the linoleum, it broke and all of the infection just came out. But it was scary. I'm, a pretty new mom, and you think your kid's brain is squirting out their head.
Oh, man.
But she didn't have any damage, and I've not ever known that she had any lingering issues. Yeah. But sometimes when you break your eardrum or whatever, it can cause problems down the road.
Having an ear infection is very unpleasant. So
yeah. So for me not to know that, either I'm a really bad mom, no comments are needed, or
it's not that one. She has a very high tolerance for pain.
Yeah. But she didn't run a fever or nothing.
Wow.
So it was funny. Yeah.
So the parts of the ear, Julie.
Right.
So we've got our earlobes. And then you've got that ear canal that you probably get a little tempted to stick that Q-tip in just a little farther than you should.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get into the eardrum, and that's kind of within that middle ear section. Mm-hmm. Then you can get into the inner ear. So it's kind of made up of what do they say about several parts, but let's just talk about what they are and how they impact you and what they're made up of. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess one thing to understand too, though, is that hearing loss can happen when any part of the ear or auditory like hearing system is not working in the usual way. So your outer ear, that is made up of essentially the part that we see on the sides of our head. Then the ear canal and the eardrum, which is sometimes called the tympanic membrane, and that separates your outer and middle ear, right? Okay, so then you go into the middle ear, and that is made up of the eardrum, 3 small bones called ossicles that send the
Not
movement.
Not
a popsicle. They send the movement of the eardrum to the inner ear, and that is made up of basically, it's like a snail-shaped organ, and that's the cochlea, right? The semicircle canals that help with balance, and the nerves that go to the brain. Then you have your auditory ear, or your auditory ear nerve. That is the nerve that sends sound information from your ear to your brain. And then you've got your auditory hearing system. That's the auditory pathway that processes sound information as it travels from the ear to the brain, so that your brain pathways are part of the hearing. So kind of a big deal.
Is crazy.
Yes.
About how intricate all of that is.
And tiny and little, like, and how much you could be impacted by things that are going on in your ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of ears, though, have you ever seen people's ears? I mean, yes, but there are some people that, they got the pointy, like.
Oh, like, the shapes of the outside.
And then you've got the wrestlers that have what they call the cauliflower ears. And then you have some people that just were very unfortunate in the making of their ears. And, they've got just a funky ear, or they wear their hair really short. So Yep. Boom-ba-doom.
And then you have like practically perfect ears like yours.
Yes.
Mine.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Practically perfect in every way.
Mostly. Yeah. That's what I tell myself, Julie. And that's why I suffer from high self-esteem. Okay. So the types of hearing loss, I guess it's categorized as like 4 different types of hearing loss. Conductive hearing loss, that is caused by something that stops sound from getting through the outer or the middle ear. This type of hearing loss can often be treated with medicine or surgery. Conductive hearing loss occurs when sounds aren't able to travel from the outer ear to the eardrum and the bones of the middle ear. When this type of hearing loss occurs, you may find that it's difficult to hear soft or muffled sounds. Conductive hearing loss isn't always permanent, so that's a good thing. Medical interventions can treat it. Treatment might include things like antibiotics, possibly surgical interventions, and that would be like a cochlear type implant.
Okay.
Would be one of those. And what a cochlear implant is that small electrical machine that they place like under your skin behind the ear, and it translates sound vibrations into electrical signals that your brain can then interpret as meaningful sound. Have you ever seen videos of like little kids or even adults that have suffered from that hearing loss or deafness their whole life, and then they get that cochlear implant?
Oh,
it's just so
cute.
That, and have you ever seen the ones with the babies when they first get glasses?
Yeah.
And they can see, oh my gosh, they're just so heartwarming.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Basically, this conductive hearing loss can be a result of things like ear infections, allergies, swimmer's ear. See, that's why I can't go swimming. A buildup of wax in the ear. Not because I can't swim, just because I might get my ears wet. Okay, so a foreign object that has become stuck in the ear, benign tumors or scarring of the ear canal due to reoccurrent infections, those are also potential causes of hearing loss. So talk to me about this next one. Sensoral and neural hearing loss?
Yes.
You want to take a stab at it? Is that how you say it?
That is hearing loss that occurs when there's a problem in the way of the inner ear or hearing nerve works. And so the sensorial neural hearing loss actually gets boiled down to SNHL, thank goodness. Happens when there's damage to the inner ear structures or in the nerve pathways to the brain. This type of hearing loss is usually permanent, makes even distinct, normal, or loud sounds seem muffled or unclear. That can result from birth defects that alter the structure of the ear, aging, working around loud noises, trauma to the head or skull, where Meniere's disease, and then also a non-cancerous tumor can even happen that just gets in the way of that those systems trying to talk to each other. And actually, like my husband, he was a logger for over 30 years. And way back when, there really wasn't a lot of people that would ever think twice about putting on ear protection.
Oh, right.
Nowadays, it's a big deal. I mean, I don't think even people nowadays can even like mow the lawn or use the yard saws or whatever. And here my husband for 30 years was out with D8s and D6s and filler bunchers and all of the things that make all the loud noises.
Filler buncher is such a fun word to say.
Filler buncher.
Filler buncher. What does it actually do?
It's a very cool machine where you sit up in the cab and then it will actually grab the tree, saw it down. You can pick up the tree and put it into the pile.
Wow.
Yeah, so it takes one person to do the job of many.
Wow.
And that's a great thing in logging. Yeah.
We do take that for granted, a lot of the things, even like you said, mowing the lawn.
Oh my
or
gosh.
just things that you wouldn't consider.
Well, going to a loud concert.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of those things where I remember going to a concert one time and I was up front. And boy, it took a couple days to get everything back to normal.
Yeah.
And I would have never thought about it because I enjoyed every minute of it.
That's, I think, when I knew that my mom had tipped over from young to old is when we went to a concert on like Big Mountain. And this was years and years and years ago. And I think she was just not impressed with how loud it was
Mom and
how
Dad.
thumping.
Yeah.
And when bass thumps really loud and you can kind of hear it, it's very troubling to her. She does not enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
That's when I knew she was no longer a young lady.
Yeah, Mom and Dad went to a Toby Keith concert.
Oh, yeah.
And they would have enjoyed the heck out of it, except they said it was so loud that it just took out for them the fun.
Yep.
Another thing that I've noticed about my darling husband is in his spot where he watches TV, I will yell very many times a night, turn it down. But the worst thing is when he then turns it off to come to bed, and then in the morning he turns it on. Wow, it's loud.
I've had that happen where you turn the TV on the next day and it's so loud and you're like, oh my gosh.
I do that every time I start my truck. Yes. Because the radio's just, I was like, oh, I was really enjoying that last song because I had it cranked.
Yes.
But it's almost a daily battle with him about making sure that he's not blowing out the rest of the house. And I'll say, what number is it on? And I like it down in the 30s, which is certainly still loud enough. And he'll go, oh, it's 76. I'm like,
didn't even know there was a 76.
There is a 76.
So mixed hearing loss. This is hearing loss that includes both that conductive and the sensorineural hearing loss. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Or SNHL. Yeah. So a combo of both.
That's what Mike has.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also disorders that you can have that will cause it. So the degree of mild loss can range from mild to profound. Okay. And it's really interesting. We just had a family gathering this past week, and I did notice certain people were struggling a bit, especially if there was a lot of family all in the same room and there was lots of talking, and none of us have an indoor voice. I come by it naturally. But truly, I noticed several people were struggling.
You know what's interesting to me is that there are some people that it doesn't bother them to have all that like noise and distraction and everything going on. My brain is not wired that way. I very much struggle, especially if I'm working on something where I'm trying to concentrate or I just cannot do with the distractions in the background. I just recalling a conversation I had with one of our caregivers or life coaches like a week ago, and it was so chaotic in the background. I just couldn't even focus on what she was saying. I was like, where are you? What's going on behind you? And she's like, oh, I'm at Dairy Queen with my youth group. Here, let me step outside. Oh. But I have that brain that I don't know. I struggle when there's so much of that.
Oh my gosh.
Even like, and maybe this is how you know that I've tipped over, that I'm no longer young. I'm old now. When you go to a restaurant and it can be so loud around you that you struggle to be able to have a conversation. The acoustics is important. Yeah. I don't know if it's because my hearing is not good or because I'm just triggered more easily these days. This is yet to be determined, but yeah. Anyway.
And when I do a home visit, I have to be very cautious because quite often they'll say, now he can't hear you. Right. Or if he doesn't have his hearing aids in, so I tend to talk loud. Right. One time my sister was like, why do you talk so loud? And I was like, Oops. Probably part of the job.
So I never know if I have to yell to get my point across now. Or you'll go in to do home visits and the TV will be very, very loud. And then you're trying to talk over that.
We
and then
did that a couple weeks ago.
Know.
You were looking for the thing and I kept trying to talk to him, but I was like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
And that's another thing that Mike does. He didn't realize he was going to be the study for this, is when he's watching the TV at Mach 10 and the phone rings, I'm like, Mike, turn off or turn down the TV because they can't hear you.
Right.
And it's kind of what you were just talking about, that background stuff. Like, it doesn't bother him a bit, but I can't take it.
It's weird. Well, I think a lot of what I do like here with numbers and working on contracts and things like that, it requires I have to have just a certain level of quiet, which is a little bit weird though, because I will put on like a crime junkie or a morbid or something in the background and that's soothing to me. Actually the other day, this is weird because it makes no sense how my brain works like it does, but I literally had earphones in playing like something as I'm reading the Bible. Oh. So how my brain allows that to happen, but I can't deal when there's a conversation going on behind me. It's weird. I'm strange. So we've established that we don't need to poke into it anymore.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So degrees of hearing loss. Okay. Like you said, it can be from mild to profound. Mild hearing loss really is considered like a person that may hear some speech sounds, but soft sounds are hard to hear. Moderate hearing loss. This is more may hear almost no speech when another person is talking at a normal level. And then you go on to that severe hearing loss. That would be more so when a person hears no speech when a person is talking at a normal level and can only hear some loud sounds. And then profound is when a person is not able to hear any speech and they can only hear like super loud sounds.
Got it.
So basically there's different ways that hearing loss can be described: unilateral, bilateral. That's basically hearing loss in one ear, which would be the unilateral, or both ears, which would be bilateral. Right. And then that prelingual, postlingual, lingual, this would be hearing loss that happened before a person learned to talk, would be prelingual. Good gravy. I know the words. Prelingual.
You're acting like me.
Or after, that would be, before the person learned to talk. And then after a person learns to talk, that would be postlingual. Symmetrical, asymmetrical. So basically if it's in the same, in both ears, if it's the same in both ears, that's going to be symmetrical. If it's different in both ears, then it's asymmetrical. And then that probably just, depends on, did it happen, whatever happened to you to cause that hearing loss? Was it just one ear or both? Progressive or sudden. So hearing loss worsens over time. That would be a progressive. If it happens very quickly, that's going to be sudden. Fluctuating or stable. If your hearing loss gets either better or worse over time, that would be considered fluctuating. If it stays the same over time, then it's just stable. And then congenital or acquired or delayed onset. So if a hearing loss is present at birth, then that is going to be considered congenital. If it appears sometime later in life, then it is going to be considered acquired or a delayed onset.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Makes sense. So complications associated with hearing loss, and how does it affect people negatively? With my husband, I worry a lot that people won't know that he's got hearing issues. So if they're talking about something and he nods, because a lot of people nod.
Isn't that how Jerry Seinfeld on Seinfeld ended up wearing the puffy shirt?
The puffy shirt, couldn't quite
hear. He just agreed.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, and so a lot of people, just to avoid having to say, hey, I can't quite hear you, or they're embarrassed or whatever, they just nod. And so the people that Mike works with the most, I'm always saying, now remember, he can't hear all the time, so, and I think about when we're feeding cows and he's in the tractor, and in the tractor he's got the radio and he's got the tractor noise, and I'm out and I'm screaming and hollering at him, like trying to do sign language. Finally he'll have to turn everything off, open the door, be completely disgusted with me because we can't have communication with all of the noise. So I don't think that's any kind of a description called farm life. But
yes.
But anyway, if you develop hearing loss, you may have difficulty in understanding others. This can increase your anxiety level or even cause depression. Treatment for hearing loss may improve your life significantly. It may restore self-confidence while also improving your ability to communicate with other people.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep. So ways to prevent hearing loss. Basically, first you have to understand that not all hearing loss situations are preventable, right? But the ones that are, the steps that you can take to protect your hearing: use safety equipment if you're working in areas with loud noises, wear earplugs when you swim, when you go to concerts. That's so funny to me.
Yeah.
Kevin and I went to a Disturbed concert, and there was a screamo person. Literally screamo, she just screamed for however long she was on stage. And Kevin's like, I would pay $100 for earplugs right now. Does anyone, I will give you $100 for earplugs. Oh
my gosh.
Never would have thought about doing that with the Disturbed concert, but
funny.
It seems funny though. Go to a concert and wear earplugs. Anyway, basically, it does say, actually, the National Institute of Deafness and Other Communication Disorders reports that 15% of people ages 20 to 69 have experienced hearing loss just due to loud noises. It's important to think about that stuff. It's also important to have tests, get your hearing tested regularly, especially if you work around loud noises, swim often, go to concerts on a regular basis, anything that's that you're around that loud a lot, just have it tested to know where you are. You want to also avoid prolonged exposure to loud noises and music too. But you also want to make sure that you seek help for ear infections because they can cause permanent damage. Now, if you're a mother and you have a child with a high pain tolerance like Bailey, you're not going to know until her brain explodes and it ends up on the floor.
Yes, there you go.
Anyway, so hearing aids basically, they can't restore that normal hearing, but they can improve hearing by amplifying the sounds that you are having trouble. And I would assume that basically what you get for a hearing aid, it's probably going to be like glasses or like whatever. It's going to be based on your particular testing results.
Yeah, no, and so when I was researching this, I was blown away at the different kinds of hearing aids. And way back when, don't you ever remember seeing the thing where they held the big horn?
Oh, geez.
It went to your ear and it went like that, and people were yelling into it so you could hear.
That was before my how old are you?
That wasn't when I was. It was like old history stuff.
Oh, okay. I thought it was in your lifetime.
No.
Okay.
No, for
I
the
digress.
love of God. But you do also see people that have the older, bigger hearing aids. But nowadays, technology is amazing because they've gotten smaller and smaller.
Very
have
discreet
you
now.
Ever been to a house or somebody's like, oh, wait, don't talk. I got to turn these on. It's like, well, why do you have them on if you didn't turn them on? And then if you've got one that the battery is going bad and you're got this buzz and they have no idea, and then finally says, let me see, I got to change your batteries.
Yep.
So that's always an issue.
We have made many a trip to the store for batteries for hearing aids, our caregivers.
Well, and some people, and this is going to be my husband, if and when we can agree that he needs them to help listen. And the debate at the house is, do we really want him to know everything we're saying, or do we just leave it as is?
This is true.
But
things to consider.
Right. I don't know that he would wear them.
Yeah.
And it's so goofy, but that's just the thing with him.
Well, how many people have the life alert pendants
and won't wear them
that are like sitting next to the toilet or they're, on their walker or So if you do have the hearing aids, then the next step is to make sure that you're using them.
Right.
It doesn't help anybody if you don't.
On the show notes, there will actually be a picture of different styles.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Because it's almost hard for us to explain them, but some go in the ear, some kind of go over. I mean, it just depends on what you're comfortable with. And, Bluetooth nowadays, when people are doing that, wearing those and they're talking in the phone while they're walking, it's like, is that a hearing aid or is that a Bluetooth or, any of that? So there's so many different styles. They can get very, very small or they can be very, very big, like I was talking about.
I at times actually use my AirPods like as the opposite of a hearing aid. So like I just traveled, I don't know, it's been weeks now, but back from Nebraska on the plane, and I use them and they have noise canceling. Oh. So basically, instead of helping let the noise in, it was keeping the noise out, and it was delightful.
There you go.
Yeah.
So then were you just talking to yourself in your head?
I I was either reading or probably talking to myself in my head, honestly. Who am I kidding? But at least I wasn't talking to myself out loud.
Oh,
okay.
Well, how in the heck are you supposed to get expert
Advice
if you're not talking to yourself? And sometimes I'm only talking to myself because nobody else will listen.
I know.
Or respond.
I just remember when it was like such a big deal, and it still is, because I don't even think that every insurance or we talked about it when we talked about like durable medical equipment and things, adaptive stuff.
Yeah.
And didn't like Medicare and Medicaid say that it's kind of like a luxury item?
Yeah. Yeah. It's your choice to listen to hear or not. So they're not going to pay for it. But when you are getting those hearing aids, get a checkup first, seek a referral. Ask about a trial period, which is a good idea. Mm-hmm. Think about future needs, a warranty.
Yep.
Beware of misleading claims and plan for the expense. Yeah. I think some of them can get darn expensive.
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
Yeah. So then getting used to a hearing aid, that's a good point. You're not going to just put it in and ta-da.
It's going to be weird for a while until your ear hole gets normalized to that.
You're going to think, have you ever had a bug go in your ear?
Oh, boy.
That's the worst.
Oh, God. I've swallowed them before. Have you had them go up your nose? That's also very unpleasant.
Yeah. Did it come out?
I'm not sure. It must have. I'm sure I blew my nose like a wild woman.
Oh, my word.
Like I don't know, remnants of a bug that came out.
Yes. So your success with hearing aids will be helped by wearing them regularly and taking good care of them. And so that's the goal.
Yep.
Is to take care of yourself, right? Yep. So
well, that's awesome, Julie. Always good to learn more about what's going on and validate why I shouldn't be swimming.
And what did you say?
That's good. Oh, you're being funny because you didn't hear me. Good one, Julie.
Oh, Lordy, she fell for it.
Goodness gracious. All right. Well, if you have not yet subscribed, there's just more of this. So just please keep coming back for more.
Oh my gosh, that was
Go
hilarious.
and do that anywhere you listen to your podcasts. And hey, if you do listen to us and you like what you hear, go and give us a rating. 5 stars only. We're only looking for 5 stars.
5 stars.
Yes. And email us your good news stories, your grandma sayings, your verses. Those can be sent to the caregivenpodcast@gmail.com. And I think you're going to give us a grandma saying, and then we're going to peace out.
Yes. Never look a gift horse in the mouth.
Heard it? I'm curious to know what it means.
Yes. So basically, I was surprised to learn this meant to not accept a gift without questioning. I always thought it meant to be thankful no matter from where it came from. Its original use meant to question why someone was giving you something without a reason. This thought was based on the person returning later expecting you to do something for them in return for the gift. Oh. There was a possibility it could be something you wouldn't want to do but would feel obligated since you received a gift from them. Another old meaning of this saying comes from a family where it says, if someone gives you something, don't look too closely at it or question it. Just receive it with thankfulness. So the great-grandfather had said, it's like when a man is buying a horse and it looks good on the outside, but if he checks his teeth and finds out it is not, it's not what it's supposed to be. If you look too closely at the gift horse, you may exchange your opinions of the gift and the giver.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Good one. I love learning about this stuff.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks, Jules.
Yeah.
I think that's a wrap. So
It's a wrap.
peace out, Girl Scouts.
Have a good day.